All right, so what we are going to do today is we are going to go over everything that will be on your midterm. You will take your midterm tomorrow with me. And as most of you know, here's what the schedule is going to look like for tomorrow. You go to first period for the regular amount of time. Then you go to second period. You'll be in second period for the next 2 hours. Then you come to this period. You'll be here. You'll take your test. It's going to be 20 questions. They are all multiple choice, just like your first 9 weeks test. But you guys know how my multiple choice tests are. The answers are going to look very similar, so even if you kind of know what you're doing, you really have to understand the questions in order to know what you're going to get correct and what you're going to have to kind of guess at on this test. Today we're going to go through and just take a look at the main parts of the test that we're going to do tomorrow. Obviously, they're not going to be the same exact questions, but they're going to be very similar to what you will see tomorrow. So, what I just want you to do right now is, instead of our usual bell ringer, just take a second to write down where it says Algebra 1 Study Guide and all those topics right below it. I'll give you about another minute. And if you don't finish, it's not a big deal. All the titles of the slides will have the subject on it. Also, I'm going to give you a little bit of a choice today when it comes to how you would like to work these problems out. If you are someone who learns better when you're up at one of the whiteboards, writing it down, I will give you a group and a marker, and you can work at one of those whiteboards. Or if you would like to put it down on your paper so you have something to use to study tonight, you can do that as well. I would suggest that if you're not sure how to do it, you put it down on your paper. But if you are pretty confident in how to do it and you just want some extra practice at the whiteboards, you can do that as well. The main parts of tomorrow's midterm is going to be graphing linear inequalities. That's the one with the 4 parts where you have to know what type of line it's going to be, where to shade. Also, we have to know what converging and diverging inequalities for single variables will look like. You will want to know how to use a table to write linear equations, and what we learned on Thursday and Friday of last week, which is taking 2 points and using them to find the line. You guys good, or about 30 more seconds? 30 seconds.
We good.
I'll give you a little bit more time. As I said, even if you don't get the last 1 or 2, it's okay. The titles will be on each individual part today. Oh, and you will go to lunch with me tomorrow. So, after you leave here, the only other period you go to is 6th period, and then you're done.
How long is
You go to lunch with me. But after you leave my class, then you have 2 hours in 6th period, and then you're done.
That's a whole movie.
I'm already dealing with 2 hours.
That's a whole movie, Mr. Washington.
All right, let's see. For this class, let me look at the groups. Jamel, I am going to put you with these 2 ladies. And then we'll have a group of 4 on this board right here. Group of 2. Yeah. Group of 2 on that board right here. We'll have a group of 3 on that whiteboard right there. And this group of 3, you can either choose to work at the front board on that right side, or you can work at that board. And if you guys both want to write on it, you can both write on it. So, what I am going to ask you to do is when the example problems come up, everyone's going to write down the first one, because I'm going to do the first one for you before you have an opportunity to do the second and the third one. So, the first thing I want to talk to you about is how to determine the equation through 2 coordinate points. So write down the first problem, 8, -4, and 4, 12. This is going to be the first problem. And as I said, I'm going to do this one for you, and then I'll give you a chance to get up and work on the other 2 problems. So, when you see 2 points and you're trying to determine the line that runs through these 2 points, you automatically know. You're looking to come up with the equation y equals mx plus b. Now for this type of linear equation, the two parts we're looking to fill in with numbers are going to be the slope and the y-intercept, m and b. The first thing I want to do is I want to look up here. Do we have our y-intercept? Are either one of these 2 points the y-intercept?
No.
What do we think? Someone give me a hand. Tell me.
No.
What do you think about this question? Greg,
I don't think it's the wire. I don't think. I don't think
why do you say that? Why do you say it's not the y-intercept?
because for it to be the wire intercept, x will have to be 0, and I don't see a 0.
Yeah, very good explanation. In order for it to be the y-intercept, one of the points would have to have 0 for the x value, and neither one does. That tells us that we are going to have to find the slope, and then we're going to use the slope in one of our 2 points to find the y-intercept. So, as I said, first thing we're going to do is find slope. Someone tell me, Arabia, what's the formula for slope? M is equal to y to what? Y1. Y minus y1, okay? Yep, divided by x2 minus x1. And when I do that, I have to go and do what with my points? Do what? Yep, x1 under the 8. x1, y1, x2, y2. Good. Now that I've labeled the 2 points, all you got to do is plug them into your formula to solve for the slope. So we get 12 minus negative 4. Make sure you know that it does have to be 12 minus negative 4. Okay? It can't just be 12 minus 4. The negative sign is very important. Over 4 minus 8. Exactly, yeah. When you subtract the negative, it's going to turn into a plus sign. So let's change the 12 minus negative 4 into 12 plus 4. And the bottom is going to stay 4 minus 8 because there's only one minus sign. 12 plus 4 is going to give us 16. 4 minus 8 is going to give us
Negative 4.
Negative 4, great. A positive divided by a negative gives us a negative, correct, when only one of your 2 terms is negative. And so 16 divided by negative 4 gives us negative 4. Fantastic. Okay, you found one of those 2 parts you were looking for. You found your slope. Now we have to go find our y-intercept. So, as I said, can we rewrite y equals mx plus b? Can we plug in something now?
Yes.
Yeah, we can plug in the slope. So, we're just going to rewrite it, and instead of m, we're going to plug in that negative 4. Keep everything else exactly the same. We're trying to solve for b. We're trying to solve for that y-intercept. So, what we can do is we can decide to use either of these 2 points to plug in for x and y. That way there's only one variable left. Only b is left to solve for. I really don't care which of the 2 points you use. That's up to you. But if you decide to use the 8, you must use the negative 4 for y. If you decide to use the 4 for x, you must use the 12 for y. I think most people would prefer to use 2 positive numbers, correct? Rather than a negative and a positive number. You guys let me know, because I'm trying to simulate how it's going to look for you on your test tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a feeling that most people want to use the point for 12. Which of these 2 numbers am I going to plug in for the y? 12, and then that means that which number am I going to plug in for x? 4. Great. And drop everything else down exactly the way it is. Keep the plus b. From here, you just got to go about solving the problem to get b by itself. So what is 4 times negative 4? Negative 16. And then to get rid of negative 16, so we have b by itself, what are we going to do?
Add 16 to both sides.
Add 16 to both sides. These cancel out, and 12 plus 16 is?
28.
28. Fantastic, okay? Now that you have b, you used the first one. Did you also get 28? Good. So, now that we have b and we found m quite a while ago, do we have the 2 numbers we want to use to write our linear equation?
Yes.
Absolutely we do. Alright, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite my final answer. Y is equal to negative 4x plus 28.
We gonna have our calculator tomorrow?
You will not have calculators tomorrow. But none of the questions will really require you to use calculators. Any of the questions where you get an answer that's a fraction, I want you to leave as a fraction. You get what I'm saying? Like those questions where we have those linear inequalities, where you have a fraction like 7/4, and you want to leave it that way you have your rise and your run. That's the only type of question. I'm not going to give you one that has something that you can easily divide or multiply. All right, what I would like you to do is, as I said, depending on what you think is going to help you best prepare for tomorrow's quiz, you can either go in your group and do the problem on the whiteboard I assigned you, or you can do it on your paper. Either way. Make sure that you're checking your answers with each other before you call me over. Since there is only one of me, I don't want 5 different people calling me over when there's someone right next to you who has the same question. All right, I will hand out, looks like there's a marker right there. Here's a marker for this group.
That's no color.
Is there a marker on that backboard over there? You got one? All right, so I want you to try the second one and the third one. If you want to do it on your paper, that's fine too. If you want to work with your group on the whiteboard, either way works.
Mr. Shaw, let's show him. Let's show him.
Do what?
Let's show him.
Yeah, that's fine.
You videotape it.
So me and Mr. McHugh can compare notes.
So you recording on that?
Yep.
Why is it doing that? Hola.
Well, I'm really recording me. You guys are a bonus, but this is more so to help me teach rather than to look
Is it
at you.
voice or just camera?
Should be both.
So when you might watch every time you get home.
Oh, this is the only time I've recorded you this year.
Not tomorrow, like you watch me get home.
Oh, that? I'll watch it on Wednesday when I have a meeting with a few other math teachers.
You so fat.
The reason you have to do all that is because if you only had one of the negative twos, it would make it look like the slope's negative 2 when the slope is 1. Because what slope is how much y changes divided by how much x changes. Okay? And y went down 2. Didn't y change by negative 2 to go from 8 to 6?
You push it back though. You push it back.
Yeah, they both subtract.
No, because I was really. But I was really. I was confirmed that you fat. Yeah. You were.
You know what I'm saying? And we teach you the formula, but if I were to ask you, here, write this down on the paper.
No.
Let's say you have a point at 110.
I know. I'm just saying.
And you have a point at 5,
No. Yeah.
20. Yeah.
Mr.
And
Shaw.
tell me if you just did it the way I just showed you.
That's right.
Change in y. If I don't change in y.
You think you fat. Look.
Did it change by -4? If you're saying that this one up 13, did this one go up 4? So it would be 13 over 4. Now try using y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1.
I love how you was girlfriend. Let me feel like I'm Let me feel like I'm shit. I'm tired of you. Like, you gotta give me a hug back, make me feel like I'm tired. You know, make me feel
I
like
want to be my final answer.
Mr. Shaw. You know me right there next time too. Oh, but I ain't. Nah. He got a fix in the hood. I wanted to fix it.
Mr. Shaw, you have to. Mr. Shaw,
Ow.
I'll get you something. I like it. And my one question to you would be, what's another way to write this answer? It's going to mean the same thing, but what's another way to write it?
Y equals x plus 4.
Right. You don't need the 1 in front of it. And the reason that I tell you that isn't because this is wrong at all, but since tomorrow you're going to have a multiple choice test, you might not see it written that way. You might have one that just has x. So as long as you know that that's the same thing as x, you're good.
So do we both get?
Who-
She did the work, but I gave it her.
Did you all help?
Yeah.
All right, do the next one.
Okay, I'm doing the next one. I did take because I told you to write. So technically, I checked. Stop sucking these on keys here.
Here's the one thing I'm going to say. When we look right here, 6 minus 8 is negative 2. I agree. And what's 2 minus 4? Negative 2. So when you have a negative divided by a negative, it's going to cancel out and make your slope positive. So since your slope is positive 1, this is just going to be 1 times 4 with 1 times 4. 4. And then you subtract 4 from both sides. Because you got to get rid of
I
positive.
hate people who in a
8 minus
relationship.
4 gives you 8 minus 4? 4.
Don't care.
I gave you one the first time. Oh yeah. You pick. That's fine. You can take your help. Well, me helping. Negative 2 minus 7. That would be 2 minus. Or, wait, that would be negative 2 plus 7.
Talk about it in your head.
Mr. Shaw.
Negative minus a negative always goes further in the negative direction. That's like saying you spent $8 and
This
then
one
spent
here.
$7
I know
more.
they don't
How much did you
And
spend
I said,
total?
I said, just sit alone.
$9. So you're down.
I want-
Yes. After class, not right now. That's not going to be candy.
Pretty.
I agree with everything except
You mad at me
you have a
right now?
negative divided by a negative.
Why you just rather in pencil though? If you're trying to crayon.
Because the negative sides cancel each other.
I'm trying to stick your cheeks out.
I told you to kill himself trying to suck it.
Alright, man, everyone take a seat so we can move on.
I'm just saying you're not so long.
Alright, I'll come back there in 1 second.
Is it wrong?
See, I was in the middle of checking it.
You keep putting your thing.
Make sure you know it's y2 minus y1, so it's going to be negative 2 minus 7 on the top, negative 2 minus 0 on the bottom.
Your problem come out to 9.
You give me an option.
9
That's correct. But when you have a negative divided by a negative, it cancels out to become a positive. So your answer is correct. Just make sure you know that negative 9 over negative 2 is the same thing as positive 9 over positive. All right. This next part, make sure you're writing the first one in your notes. I'll write that a little bit larger in case you can't see it. Someone got one of those red markers right here.
Yep.
That one right good right here. Red well. Alright, the first problem, in case you can't see it, is y is greater than or equal to negative 3x plus 4. Now, You need to know this tomorrow. If you're going to go home and spend an hour studying tonight, I suggest that about 10 to 15 minutes is dedicated towards this type of problem right here. This is a linear inequality, meaning it's a line that has an inequality sign in it. And this is the one where you have those 4 important things that you need to know. The way I always set mine up is y-intercept first, slope second, line third, and then shading comes last. The reason I set mine up this way is because this is the order that you're going to use that information to find the graph. Obviously, there's no correct order. As long as you have the 4 important things, you should be all right tomorrow, but find a way that works for you. All right, the y-intercept, in other words, B, is found at the end of your question. What's our y-intercept going to be at, Maya? Say it. 0, 4. Great. Austin, what's our slope at? Or what is our slope, I should say? -3. Fantastic. And if I want to put that as a fraction so I can get a rise run, how would I say it? Fantastic. -3 over 1. That way we have a rise of -3, a run over, or a run at 1. Good. Jayla, what type of line we got? Solid? Are you sure? Okay. Solid one. Keelan, which one are we going to say? Both? Why? It's going to the right. I get what you're saying, because the inequality sign is pointed towards the right. Yeah, that works. I also like to think about it as whenever you have the greater than sign, whenever y is greater than the other side, you know what's going to shade going. Shade above. Now, the benefit of tomorrow being a multiple choice test is you can use the process of elimination very easily to eliminate any answers that don't have a solid line or that are shaded below, stuff like that. But right now, let's practice actually graphing it. So you have a y-intercept at 0, 4. What does it mean to have a slope where it says -3 over 1?
You go down.
Go down 3 and over to the right 1. The reason I say you go over to the right is because even though the 3 is negative, the 1 is positive. So whenever the run is positive, you move to the right. Draw your solid line. And make sure you shade above. All right. That being said, let's do this one and the one in the bottom left corner. Okay, don't worry about the last one, but get in your groups, go to the whiteboards, and do the next 2.
Short is the tall one.
What's the hit? Do the problem. What can't even reach?
No problem.
Oh, that's fine too. That's fine too.
You got the second one?
Why you keep doing it? I'm talking.
This group wants some more.
I don't
You're
talk.
welcome to use that space right there. If you want to use that space, you can. It's up to you.
I'm right to tell boy.
Chill.
Why you don't
Can you do it?
I don't care.
I want you to do the one on the top
What?
right and
Hit.
the one on the
I
bottom.
dare you. I dare you to. I dare you to. I dare you to. Bust your nose so hard you gonna bleed. Find your milk.
Maybe a little more.
Okay, try to do it. Try to do it.
No, what's up?
You got it.
Missed us.
So, slope at -5, change to the solid line, change to below, you wake up. Great.
Okay. Alright, that's 4. Wait, yeah, you're right.
Mr. Shaw.
Okay.
He didn't help.
I really got it to do the problem. Okay, I was like, go up there.
You guys are gonna finish quickly, so each of you do one. I'll come back to the next one.
It's just do what?
Y is greater than, I'll redo the next one. Each of you do a problem, because you'll get through it quickly.
I know what it is.
I agree. What's the second problem here? Can you read me what type of problem you have?
Oh, who did?
Where?
No, sit down. If you guys have already done the first one, have someone start working on the fourth. Yes.
You saw he got number 2?
Say that one more time.
I know, I'm looking for the other. See, he's gonna do the problem, but he already over there.
Yep, that's correct. Like everyone, second. Here, you do the fourth. Oh, who did it?
Don't gotta be pretty.
That's fine. Oh. Yes.
Mr. Shaw, I can put my arrow.
That works.
Put my arrow. If you want to look at here,
I'll be right back.
Key, what do what? Key, you so fire, you know you think you so fire, you
Okay, so what problem do?
Use that board and do the final problem.
Hey, I'm doing the 3. I mean, the last one.
Hurry up. Oh, come on here.
Mr. Mormon.
Learn from my mistake.
That's fine. As long as you know. Good. Next one.
Thank
Mr. Shaw, read that last problem out.
Last problem. Y is greater than or equal to 7 over 4x plus 2.
You can take
No.
How long minutes you doing? Come on, what's that for my
You all hop on
Hey, this one you did.
Nice. Yeah. All right. I want to take a seat.
I see a man by your race.
You did yours when you erased it. You sure it's right? All right. Sit down. This is something that I know we did a while ago, so make sure that we can get through this.
Mr. Shop.
Yes.
Damn.
I want to make sure we're doing all right on the top. Yeah, we're doing all right. Okay. When you have, I'll come right back. Here, one second.
Dre, you want tea?
Yeah.
I won't get a tea because you're supposed to want tea when you know you want a tea.
Y'all want to stick it.
But we ain't big shit like that.
Where's the red marker? So when you have a table up here, it's kind of like those first questions you were doing. Think back to not what we just did, but the time before. Think back to the time before. When I give you 2 points, can you guys find the linear equation for the line? You can't. If I gave you 2 points, that's the ones where I gave you, let's say 1, 7, and 3, 10. Could you tell me what line runs through those 2 points? Refresh your memory. Look at your notes. It's the first question we did. It's the first one we did today. Okay. If I give you 2 points, you can find the line. Well, a table gives you more than 2 points, doesn't it? Isn't this a point right here at the top? And here's the second point, third point, fourth point, and fifth point. Okay, so you have 5 points that this table's giving you. Use whichever 2 you want. Okay, it doesn't matter. You only need 2 points to find the slope for a line. Right, Stefan? You only need 2 points to find the slope for the line. So, out of these points, which of these coordinate points do you think is going to be the best 2 to use to find your slope?
0, 7, 1, 9.
0, 7, and 1, 9? Or maybe 1, 9, 2, 11?
0, 7.
0, 7.
Okay, well, something with 2 positive points, right? Really, any of these points will get you the correct answer, but I just want you to use whichever ones you find the easiest. So let's use the 0, 7,
You think your wallet is easy.
and 1, 9. Now that I have 2 points, can I find slope using m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1? Sure. I'm going to go ahead and label my points. Does it matter which one I label x1, y1? No, okay? You can label the bottom one x1, y1 or the top one x1, y1. That doesn't matter. I'll just label 0, 7 as x1, y1, and then 1, 9 as x2, y2. Use the coordinates to plug in to find m. So, y2 minus y1 is 9 minus 7. x2 minus x1 is 1 minus 0. What's 9 minus 7? Negative 2? Positive 2. And 1 minus 0 is 1. 2 divided by 1 gives us the final answer of 2. Questions so far? Now, if I was nice enough to give you a table up here that already has your y-intercept as one of the points, do we have to even plug in a point to find b, or can we just use it? Let's just use it. So let's go and ask ourselves, our y-intercept is the point where x is 0. So our y-intercept's at 0, 7. Which of these 2 numbers do I plug in for b? The 0 or the 7? The 7. Okay. Now we have m, we have b, and we just plug it into the formula. Y is equal to mx plus b to get a final answer of y is equal to 2x plus 7. I urge you very, very carefully, when you work through these problems tomorrow, you might have answer choices A, B, C, and D, and they might look really, really similar. Okay? Answer choice A might look like this. Answer choice B could be y is equal to 7x plus 2. Answer choice C might be y is equal to negative 2x plus 7. All right, and answer choice D might be y is equal to 2x minus 7. So, you get what I'm saying? It's something where even if you know how to do something like this, the answer choices are going to look very similar. So you really got to think carefully. Slow yourself down. You'll have plenty of time. You'll have 2 hours for this test. All right, don't rush yourself through. And which one is it going to be? Well, if I said that's going to be answer choice A, Which of these is going to be correct? A. Yeah, the one that has a slope of 2 and a y-intercept at 7.
I thought
Now-
that was just B, C, and D.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I meant to say if that was your first answer choice. Obviously, it's going to be A. But someone who's rushing through their test, what if A was actually C and C was A? I could see a lot of people who, after they got their answer, they would look at A and think that it says the same thing. Make sure you know there's a big difference between a negative slope and a positive slope.
Oh, what if it had an answer? What if it had y equals 2x minus negative c? It would be the same thing.
Yes, but that won't be an answer choice. That will more be likely, that will be something that you're going to have to work out through your problem. Okay? I'm not going to be that mean. I'm not going to give you an answer choice that is made there purposefully just to trick you. Now, will I possibly give you an answer that includes a fraction? Sure. I mean, that's something you guys know how to do. If you were going to solve for your slope, and your slope came out to be something like 7/3, is that fair game to have as your slope? Absolutely, because we've done that before. But I'm not going to put stuff in that's just meant there purely to trick you. They're going to look close to each other, but they're all going to be different in a realistic way. All right, I want to do one more example before I have you. Actually, I think we want to move on right now. We'll come back to this if we have some extra time. But because we are running short on time, I want to get through your review. I want to show you number 3. Now, number 3 is a lot like number 1, except the one key difference is, do we have our y-intercept?
No.
No. So what this means is it's back to that problem we did before, the one where you have 2 points and you're trying to find your line, but you don't have your y-intercept. How many of these points are we going to need to use to find our slope?
2.
2 of them. Someone tell me, which 2 points do you want to use?
5, -1, 4, -5.
Okay, yeah, let's use the ones that have the smallest numbers. 5, -1, and then 4, -5. I suggest you guys write this one down, because this is another one that you really will want to look over tonight. So, let's find the slope for this using our formula. M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Does it matter which point we label x1 and y1? No? So, which one would you guys prefer? First one, 4, -5? Alright. So we'll label 4 as x1, -5 is y1, 5 is x2, -1 is y2. We good? Alright, plug them in. So, y2, -1 minus y1, -5. Over x2, 5 minus x1, which is 4. Well, when you have minus a negative number, it's the same thing as adding. Change the top to -1 plus 5, and the bottom to 5 minus 4. What's -1 plus 5? 4. What's 5 minus 4? 1. Giving us a slope of 4 over 1, or just 4. Now that you have your slope, if there's no y-intercept, what do you need to do? Find it by doing what? Plugging in one of your 2 points, okay? Or in this case, one of your 5 different points. Doesn't matter which one. So, write the equation y equals mx plus b. Fill in what you know, which right now is a slope of 4. And plug in whichever point you want. I really don't care. Which point would you guys like to plug in?
4 -5.